So, today, we're diving into the story of a trader who pulled off something that, honestly, looks almost impossible. It's a journey of insane highs, some really crushing lows, and a powerful shift in thinking that all kicked off with one jaw-dropping number. All right, here it is. This is the number that just grabs your attention. $1.67 million in profit, and he did it in just 2 years. It's an absolutely mind-boggling figure. But you know what? The real story here isn't where he ended up, it's where he started from. Because he started with just $3,000. That's it. $3,000. We're not talking about some huge hedge fund here. This is about taking a tiny, tiny account and spinning it into a fortune. And that, of course, leads to the biggest question of all. I mean, how in the world does someone make that kind of leap? What's the secret sauce? Is it just pure luck? Some kind of hidden genius? Well, the truth is way more interesting, and it starts with a part of the story that most people never, ever see. That's a quote from the trader himself, Chris Verma. And it kind of pulls back the curtain, right? Because before that incredible run-up, there was a long, and I mean painful period of just failure. Turns out, the road to $1.67 million was paved with some seriously blown-up accounts. Yep, that's how many times he lost it all before he finally found some consistency. For years, he was trading on pure intuition, chasing stocks that were already flying, making these gut decisions, only to watch his account get completely wiped out, again and again and again. This cycle of failure forced him to look for a totally different way to trade. And this is the core of his entire transformation. He made a huge shift, moving away from what we call discretionary trading, which is all about making calls based on your gut feeling in the moment, to systematic trading, a completely different ballgame. So what exactly is systematic trading? Well, think of it this way. It's about taking your emotions, your gut feelings, your fears, your greed, and locking them in a box. With a system, every single move is planned out before you even think about clicking a button. It's all based on a strict set of rules that have been proven with historical data. This became a weapon that changed everything for him. Okay, so how do you even build one of these? It's not as mystical as it sounds. You start with a simple idea, a hypothesis, like, hey, I bet stocks that gap up 100% overnight are probably going to fall. Then you go back in time and test that idea against years of market data. If the data says you're onto something, you start to refine it. You add more specific rules, like company size or trading volume, to make your edge even sharper. And then comes the hardest part of all. You have to actually follow the plan and execute without letting your emotions get in the way. And wow, this chart right here, it shows you exactly what happens when a system like that meets the perfect market conditions. When the COVID market got super volatile, his system just went into beast mode. Because he wasn't guessing, he was just following the data, he was able to scale up like crazy. We're talking going from $10,000 months to $150,000 and then even $300,000 months. But believe it or not, the story doesn't end at the top. You see, after hitting that incredible peak profit in early 2021, something really weird happened. He just stopped making new highs. For almost 4 years, his account basically went sideways. I mean, he was still making money, but that explosive vertical growth, it was gone. And this was a totally new kind of challenge, and honestly, a much harder one. You can just imagine the mental game here, right? This period was brutal. The system that felt like a superpower was suddenly just average. That's when the doubt starts to creep in. Was the magic gone? Was he no longer a top trader? This is that quiet struggle that almost every successful person goes through, but so few people ever talk about it. And that's when he had this huge aha moment. He realized it wasn't that he had failed, and it wasn't even that his system was broken. The market itself had changed. The patterns his system was designed to catch just weren't showing up as much. The game was different, and he knew that if he just kept playing by the old rules, he was going to get left behind. He had to adapt. So what did he do? He didn't just throw the whole system out the window. Nope, he evolved. He created this hybrid model. He blended that solid, data-driven foundation with all the hard-won experience he'd picked up over almost a decade. The system was still the bedrock, but now his own judgment, his discretion, became the secret sauce on top.
So what does that 30% discretion actually look like in practice? Well, it meant being way more flexible. For instance, instead of being stubborn and only betting a stock would go down, he learned how to spot when that bet was failing and then flip his position to bet on it going up. He started doing this thing called recycling, selling and rebuying shares to squeeze more profit out of a stock that was stuck in a range. And he started trusting his gut again, but in a smarter way. to cut his losses even faster, and to really pay attention to the overall mood of the market each day.
This table really lays it all out side by side. It's the perfect summary of his entire journey as a trader. You can see he went from being this super rigid data-only guy who maybe reviewed his system once a month to this flexible, nimble trader who could adapt on the fly. And that's the whole point. He was no longer just a guy running a system. He became a complete trader, using every single tool he had.
And that brings us to the biggest lesson from his whole story, the real, lasting edge. It isn't some magic formula you find once and then ride forever. Because the markets, they're always changing, always evolving. The most valuable skill you can have is the ability to adapt, to evolve with them, and to find a new edge when the old one starts to fade.
Which leaves us with this final, really powerful question to think about. In a world that's always shifting under our feet, maybe the only strategy that never truly fails is the willingness to change. Because what worked yesterday probably isn't going to work tomorrow. And the true masters in trading, in business, in life are the ones who never, ever stop learning.